Hello, this is Deborah Anderson, the BlkWmnAnimator, coming back to you with another video. And in this video, I have Gary Anthony Williams. Got to say the full name. Welcome.
Yep. I got to be honest with you, Deborah. You have the guest of your lifetime. I am going to change everything about your career, and I hope in a positive way. I really do. But my gosh, when I woke up today, I thought, oh, Deborah, I am about to deliver. It's like an Amazon delivery that you didn't expect and didn't know you even needed and may not have wanted.
Yes. So, besides that introduction, can you give another introduction of yourself? Because that was awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Hello, America and Korea. Gary Anthony Williams here. What am I? Webster's Dictionary defines me as Gary Anthony Williams. What's another dictionary, Deborah? Is there another one out there other than Webster's now? There's Urban Dictionary. Hey, so I'm Gary. I live in LA. I'm from Fayetteville, Georgia. I am an on-camera actor and a voice actor, and I direct and I produce. I'm not an animator. I'm not a Black woman animator. As much as I tried, as much as I prayed to the Black woman animation gods.
You were trying to get your Rachel Dolezal on.
I was trying to get, look, let's be honest. There's a white lady that I'm just not that mad at. Only because she was really doing good. Like she's a little sick, but she was really doing good. I can't be that mad at Rachel Dolezal. I'm sorry.
But my thought is, she actually was being very white because you ain't got a lot of kick it, Craig. We accept you. We accept white people.
Would you have accepted her as much speaking
we accept Wise. We accept Jane Elliot.
I'm saying, would you have let her move up where she had moved up to in the NAAC as well as the P? Had you thought she was a white woman, would you have accepted her as a person?
I feel like Black people as a people accept. And I was very involved in the Urban League movement, and we had white presidents of the Urban League.
So you're saying she would have been equally accepted had you not known?
Because we are, to a fault, we are a very accepting people.
Okay. I happen to, look, you and I, we're going to, and look, I've never fist fought with an animator before. We are going to, seriously, I fight in this new style where it's just like,
crouching tiger.
Okay, so yeah, that's who I am. I do the acting, I do the on camera, I do the voiceover, and I also create.
And you also add "thus" to the beginning of your phrase.
Yeah, I'm big on articles. Thus, a.
Do you also add S's like the Walmarts?
I'm from the South, so yeah. You went to. Wait, is it Kroger or Kroger's, the grocery store?
It is Kroger.
Yeah, Kroger's. I went to Kroger's. Because if you think about it, like people used to own stuff like it was McDonald's, the McDonald brothers, so it was McDonald's.
Yeah.
So yeah, I make things possessive. I'm all about ownership.
So can you tell us about growing up in Fayetteville, Georgia?
I can tell you everything about it. Hi, Gary Anthony Williams. Yeah, I lived in Fayetteville till I was a young man. Lived basically in the woods most of the time. We raised, huh? Say that again. I'm way country. I know. By the way, I'm going to tell everybody your secret. Before I started this podcast, Deborah's like, "Let me give you a little. You don't have to code switch here because blah blah." And I was like, If I was as Black as I really am, and country as I really am, most of y'all wouldn't even know what I'm saying. Number one, you would not, especially like y'all from New York or the Midwest. You'd be like, what he saying? What he saying? You think you know? You don't know no country Black people. You don't know us. Y'all ain't know us. Yeah, I'm way country. We raised and slaughtered our own pigs. Grew up eating that, from we didn't have a farm, but we had a huge, huge, huge garden that wrapped all the way around that we raised and ate most of our vegetables. So yeah, I'm big time country in Fayetteville. It used to be super racist there. Like one of those cases where my daddy's, my daddy was beaten, for being black by the cops there. It was one of those kind of things. Our dog was named after one of the cops because that was a thing. Like, you would, if it was somebody you didn't like, oh, that he a dog, and then you just name your dog after. Our dogs Smokey and Tootsie were two of the white cops that were down in Fayetteville. So it was super racist when I grew up there, but now it's changed a lot. I mean, Marvel Studios shoots all of its stuff down in Fayette County, across from the pasture where I used to live. Like, there was my big old wooden house with no inside running water. And then across that pasture was just a cow pasture then, but now it's Marvel's big shiny ass studios.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Progress.
So, I went to high school there, and I didn't go to kindergarten because why? I came out brilliant. Why even do that? Yeah, and my family is still down there, except my son. He's not down there.
Your son's at school.
He's at school, getting himself.
Getting that education.
He's either educating himself or getting educated or educating other people. He's doing something. He's doing something there. I know something is happening there. That I do know because I keep sending money over there. So something is happening over there. Oh, and by the way, just so people know, if anybody wants to either fully pay for the rest of my son's college education or just help, you can. My Instagram is at Gary Anthony Williams. I don't know how you just drop some dollars. Say that again, Deborah.
You have not because you ask not.
Exactly. But I will have because I ask. Yes.
Please help.
So go ahead and pay it. What do you got to lose? Why are you trying to not help a young African American guy go through college while his dad is at home eating tofu? You could help. There's nothing wrong with helping. Oh, I'm sick of these people, Deborah.
So what would you say some of your best childhood memories are?
Some of them I had forgotten, but then one day I smelled fish. No, this is real. I smelled like a real live fish at a pond. I was like, oh crap. I used to go fishing all the time, my family, with my grandma. Like we would go fishing. Oh, that's right. And she would come over every weekend. Like we'd go pick her up and she'd come over to the house and hang out with us all weekend long. So like some simple stuff like that, just like going to my grandmother's house and going fishing with her. There's a lot of us. I have 6 sisters and 2 brothers. So we didn't have money, but we had each other. And by the way, if anybody out there is going, we were poor, but we didn't know we were poor. Like bullshit. Poor people know they're poor. Like, you wake up poor. In the middle of the day, you walk around, you're poor. Around dinner time, you're poor. You go to bed, you're poor. That next morning you wake up, you're still poor. Like, like you're living in it. I don't ever want to hear anybody. We were poor, but we didn't know. We were happy, but you can be happy, but that still don't stop you from being poor.
What would you say is your cultural makeup? And that's not to say what is your ethnicity, but what is the culture of where you grew up? What is the uniqueness of where you're from?
I think you hit part of it. I am still super Southern. I live in Hollywood and I have to navigate Hollywood, and I do a lot of character acting and character voices, so I can drop my Southernness, but I still have in me that Southern thing. Like, first of all, I'm a vegan. I have not eaten meat since I hadn't eaten meat since 87, something like that. But if you said, hey, Gary, can you go catch me a rabbit and skin it and cook it? Then yeah. Can you go shoot that thing in the head over there? Of course I can. I grew up shooting stuff in the head and chopping rabbits behind the head and snipping their feet off. I know how to do all that stuff. But that's hard baked in me. Yeah. As far as anything else, like I come from a family of funny human beings who just saw things in a funny way.
Mm-hmm.
So my outlook on life always has a bit of that in it. Like always, like I don't have to search for the humor in something. It's always there just because I grew up looking at stuff like that. If not, I would have just grown up crying all the time. And I ain't got time to be crying all the time.
Right.
We can't afford no tissues to wipe your tears away. So yeah, like seriously, Southern Black who I remember going to school in the first grade and hearing white kids talking, going, what are they saying? What is like it to me, like learning white was like learning a second language. Cause I was like my mother was older, my dad was older. My dad's like my grandma's parents were slaves, so we weren't that far away from that, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like, and they all still lived in the South, so they had a deep Southern dialect. So, which I had and still can have whenever I want it, whenever I need it for a job, especially, or when I go home. But but going to school the first day was like, what are these white people saying? Do they know that they're not making any sense? And how can I help them? Because this is stupid. So I had to like relearn. It was like I think of white language as my second language. I seriously do. Like people like, do you speak any other language? Yes. I speak English. I speak Black, my native tongue. I speak a lot of Spanish, and yeah, I'm very good at speaking the white. I can speak the white as well.
So I saw an interview from like several years ago where you said that you missed the friendliness of Georgia. Do you still feel like that?
I will tell you, I have met some great. It is funny, like in Georgia now, like if you go there, like people will nod at you, and sometimes unexpectedly. Like I was in my hometown one year in the summer, and there was a big farmers market at this park I used to go to, which was Jack Day Park, which was the first place I ever really met any white people. There was this old hippie lady swinging on a swing. She's like, dude, may I use your swing? And then she belched and she smelled like an onion. And I will never forget that. I will never forget what she looked like and her belch. And like, she was just like super kind and cool. So a couple of summers ago, I was at Jack Day Park and they were having a big farmers market. And I went there and there's this big, huge redneck looking dude selling something called muscadines, which is a wild Southern grape. And we always had muscadines and we would make our own wine out of them. So I saw them. I was like, oh my God, I hadn't had those for years, because now and then Whole Foods will have them and they cost about $29 per berry, you know? Right. So I go get them from this dude, and a big old white dude with literally overalls and a big white beard, you know. He's like, where are you from? And I was like, oh, don't make me have to fight this old white man today. And I was like, I'm from here, man. I used to come to, when this was a park, I used to come here all the time as a kid. My grandmama lived down the street. I live in LA now. Oh, you live in LA? Yeah. Where are you, an actor or something? Yeah, I am an actor. Really? Tim, come here. And then he calls this other 18-year-old missing teeth, you know, kind of white kid. And he comes over, he's like, it's boys. He didn't say boy, sorry. This guy is an actor. Yeah, yeah. Hey, Timmy, do some Shakespeare for it. And so then this redneck kid starts doing some fucking Shakespearean sonnets. I was like, what's happening? Everything I thought was going to be real in that moment is like, first I got to fight this white man for some muscadines. Now I'm going to whoop this 18-year-old's ass for some reason that I don't even understand. But it was like, nope. And then the guy was like, I used to go out in LA all the time, man. I'd hang out at the this and that and that and that. I was in the Navy, so I shipped out of there. And yeah, you know, oh, meet my wife. And then his wife comes, and she's this young Mexican girl. It's like, what's happening? So that kind of friendliness, especially when I thought, oh, I'm in a whole different situation, it was still there.
Yeah.
Still a lot of racism and stuff there. But I will say that in LA, like I have definitely found a good group of people that I definitely can call my friends for life, you know. So there's still a lot of that there, but you don't get people like here nodding every time somebody passes by, you know, either the black nod or the white nod. Like you don't always get that here. But I found some super friendly people here for sure.
That's good. What is your favorite like tradition from growing up that your family did?
I will say, I don't know if it was my favorite growing up, but one thing that I did miss was like some Southern home cooking. So I remember before my mother died, and you didn't kill her, Deborah, so you don't have to feel bad. Before she died, say what now?
I feel like I knew that already, but thank you for reassuring me.
Well, I'm glad, but you knew it, but your audience didn't know. They were like, Deborah, I killed this man's mama. That is not cool. And then she interviewing him. She's gonna try to make him break down in tears. Bold. She is a bold killer. She is a bold killer and an amazing animator. Before my mother died, I called to get her recipes for stuff because, like I said, I don't eat meat. But I was like, I'll just convert all those recipes over to vegan, which I did. So, and I'm going to do it this Thanksgiving. But I used to every New Year's I would make a big Southern New Year's dinner with like mac and cheese, black-eyed peas, collard greens, cornbread. My mother made these things called tea cakes, which I just made some and shipped some off to my son. By the way, I was in the post office mailing off some tea cakes, and the postal lady is like, "What is this?" And I was like, "They're tea cakes." And she goes, "Are they like butter cookies?" I was like, something like that. And then this black dude goes, "Tea cakes? You make tea cakes?" Like, yeah. And he's like, "Man, I hadn't even heard the words tea cakes since my grandmama died. You have a recipe for tea cakes?" I was like, "I do." He's like, "Give me your number." So immediately traded numbers, and I sent him the vegan one and the non-vegan one, which is mostly eggs and butter. That I took out of there. So those kind of things, like, I wouldn't say that's a tradition, but my family, you know, we all got together and still do. They get together when I'm not there, but at all the holidays now at different houses sometimes. But like that for sure. I kind of missed that, and so I definitely brought that, at least the flavors of that, with some of the recipes. But you know, the way my mama cooked was, you know, Gary, add enough of that so that it look right, or you gotta taste it. You can't just put a spoon of this in it. You gotta taste it so till it tastes right. All of that. So that took me a while. Like, oh, does this taste right? Does this look right? So that's it. I spent a lot of time in the kitchen.
Recently, like, I went to one of the, you know, soul food restaurants here. But yeah, I was trying their greens, and I'm like, why do so many soul food restaurants here have to make their greens spicy? Like, it was like a jalapeno in it, and I'm like, can it just be flavorful?
Why? Yeah, but you should always have that pepper option on the side.
Yeah, but my grandma has red pepper flakes, but they just be like, it just be so hot, and I'm like, why do all the restaurants do that here?
So, like, when I make my collard greens, let me just tell you right now, when I make my collard greens, I do not spice them up like that. But I do have, because I got peppers growing in the backyard right now, even though the raccoons out there trying to dig in the dirt, girl, I have pepper sauce that I make. It's just peppers sliced up, soaked in vinegar forever. And you add a little bit of that pepper sauce to that, eat some of the peppers out of there, girl. It will make you not only slap your mama, you will drive to your best friend's house and slap her mama, and then drive back home and sleep well that night.
I believe
very well. Very well.
Very well.
Yeah, they don't need to put the spice in there if you don't want that. Yeah, just put it on the side. That's what you do in the South. You just add it to the side.
Have some flavorful greens, please.
What vegan? I mean, not vegan. What soul food restaurant is it in the SO that you go to? That's Sherman Oaks. Is it here or is it out? Is it outside of Sherman Oaks?
What was the last one? Because I've been to several. Oh, I just tried the what is it called? The Mississippi Fish Shop or something.
Oh, I don't know. Huh.
That was the last one I tried.
I doubt there's anything in there that I can eat with
I
my
can't
mouth.
remember exactly where that is. I don't know if it's in Sherman Oaks. I think it's in the Valley, but it's
Okay.
been multiple,
Uh-huh.
places. It just seems like a thing here.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your journey in creativity during your childhood?
That's kind of hard to say. It's funny. I just thought of something. When I was really little, like we played games like these schoolyard games, like Red Rover and stuff like that. Red Rover, sing Gary right over, right? And then we played one called Sweet Lemonade. Do you know Sweet Lemonade?
Never heard of Sweet Lemonade.
I'm about to educate some motherfuckers out there, right? Right, champ, and right now. Sweet Lemonade is two groups of people. And tell me if I'm going into too much detail. It was basically an acting kind of game, but it was played two groups of people standing across from each other.
Mm-hmm.
One group starts this little rhyme right here, and everybody's doing it together. They go, bam, 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 here we come, blowing our horns and beating our drums. Knock, knock, knock. And the other group says, who's there? And that group goes, Sweet Lemonade. Where you from? A pretty good town. What's your trade? Sweet Lemonade. Well, get to working. When they say get to working, then your group has decided, okay, everybody, we're race car drivers at a big race. And so then you're miming it out, and the other group tries to guess what you're doing. And once they guess, then you got to run and get back to your other side.
Nice.
So yeah, but it was all in rhyme. It's called Sweet Lemonade, and we played that all the time. Like there was a lot of like creative games and songs and stuff like that we played. Like I said, we didn't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of those games. So I would have to say that's probably like the first time, like kind of doing some kind of crazy acting. And then I was big on drawing. I used to draw all the time.
Nice.
Never was good with color. Still don't quite understand color. Like I'm not good with that. I'm good with lines still. Big in that. And then I have an aunt who's now a famous artist who's passed away. Her name is Nellie Mae Rowe. My great aunt, I guess. My dad's aunt. And so when she died, they left me a whole bunch of her stuff, her watercolor blocks and her pencils and pens and stuff like that I used till I used them up. I didn't know, like, oh, you should save this, Gary, because this lady is kind of famous now as a Black artist,
Yeah.
But I used them till I used them up. So I was more of an art.
You to do that more.
Say that again.
I'm sure she would have liked you to use them.
I'm sure she would have. She would. There's no way she'd be going like, no. Keep them in a box. So that was the beginning. So at one point I was going to go to art school, and then, but I was learning how to do lights and stuff in high school on stage, and then so I was like, I took a class in learning how to do the lights, and then the class accidentally put me in an acting class. The computer did. Then I got in there. I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to be no actor. And then the first assignment was, guys, come in tomorrow with a mime. Come in with some kind of mime. Like, what? This is dumb. So I was like, I'm going to get out of this class. I'm going to do the most offensive mime I can. So I do this mime where I'm this lady and I have a baby, and I have this beautiful baby. And then I put it in the oven and I cook it. And then I open the oven and I slice it and I eat this baby all in mime. And I was like, this is going to get me out of here. And then Robin Bennett, the teacher, goes, that's brilliant. And I was like, wait, I can cook babies and it's okay and I get an A? All right. Then I was too lazy to get out of the class. And it was like, oh, this is fun. This is just stupid playing around stuff.
Right.
So she definitely was the one who went, dude, you should be doing this. I still never thought I could. Went to college, was going to do like first psychology, then business. And then I just kept acting until then I wake up one day and I go, oh, wait a minute, I'm an actor. It was probably only 8 years ago, seriously, that I was standing in a voiceover booth, Deborah, and I went, "Holy crap! I'm a professional. I'm a professional actor." When did that happen? Like maybe 8 years ago, I realized.
I feel like I have that experience all the time being an adult. I'm like, I am an adult.
Look at me. Look at me being an adult.
You pay your bills and stuff.
I almost feel like one now, and that's crazy. Like after having a son and houses, after doing all that stuff, sometimes I feel like one, but it's still like, because when you get to play for a living,
Right.
you can call yourself an adult all you want to, but you're playing for a living. You're making funny noises. You're putting on stupid costumes. You're just playing for a living. It's hard to call yourself an adult.
Didn't adults look more adulty when you were a child?
Even 18, like if I look at my brothers and sisters like yearbook, like the guys in freshmen in high school, they look like, oh, that dude runs a trucking company somewhere. That's not a child. That dude's got a tobacco farm. That's not a kid. Yeah, they did. But and now, like I know, I'm sure I'm an adult on paper. I know I am. But I always just considered myself a responsible child. Like I never like reneged on my bills or anything, but I certainly didn't think, oh, because you have bills, you're an adult. No, I was just like, oh, I'm just a kid who's paying his bills,
Speaking of reneging, do you know how to play spades?
If you don't think you are literally the second person this week to ask if I knew how to play spades, you are wrong. Do I know how to play spades? Yes. Now, which kind of spades do you want to play? Do you want to play them where it's joker's tight, where you can't lead with spades? I mean, spades tight till you can't lead with spades until somebody's cut with spades? Or can you play spades right out the gate, which I don't like? Yeah, I know how to play spades. I did play the white version of spades, which is hearts.
Oh, well, I'm from Michigan, so the white version of spades for me is euchre.
Oh, euchre, yeah. I did. So one time, a friend of mine, my writing partner, Jeannie, she's from Wisconsin, so euchre was a big deal. Yeah. And so I got my ex-mother-in-law like to secretly teach me euchre. It's like, could you teach me? So one day she's gonna be sitting around like, oh, let's play some euchre. I don't know how to play euchre. So I secretly learned how to play euchre. So I still have never told her, and I just can't wait for the day to surprise her.
That's funny. So were your once you started acting, like were your parents supportive of your acting pursuits?
Here's a crazy thing. My dad would always drive me to rehearsals and stuff. I don't think either one of them ever saw me do anything live, like on stage when I was doing a lot of stage acting. And I literally thought, they don't care. Which to me was like, okay, well, they don't care. They don't have to care about everything. Right. So one day I walk into my mom's room and she has out this, what do you call them? Photo album. She's putting stuff in. I was like, what is that? She's like, it's your photo album. What are you talking about? Oh, and she shows me this album that has everything I've ever fucking done in it. All these pictures of my high school plays and the write-ups and all that stuff. And I never knew she even cared. She never said anything. So that moment that I saw her.
Yeah. Older Black people are so interesting in how they show and don't show love.
Yep. My family, I was just telling somebody this. My family never said I love you to each other until my dad died. And now it would be impossible for me to hang up a phone with any member of my family and not say love you. But until then, nobody ever said it. Like it wasn't a thing that, oh, you didn't know it wasn't like, oh, I didn't know they loved me. Of course they loved me.
Right.
But nobody ever voiced it ever. And then like with my mom, right? She just never talked about that. And this whole time she'd been putting together this big scrapbook photo album thing. Definitely my dad never My dad never said it. Like the 2 times I saw my dad cry was at his mother's funeral and the day I left home for LA. And it like still he never said it, you know.
Yeah.
We hugged and we both got teary and that was it.
Yeah.
But there was never a question, like never a question if that dude loved me, like never. So I made sure when my son was born, like you were going to hear it. And like every night, even he's in college, every night I text him, good night, I love you, So I'm not going to pass on the non-spoken love. Got to break the circle, man. You got to break the love circle.
Yes. What were your favorite cartoons growing up? Did you have any?
Oh, are you out of your freaking mind? Yeah. Bugs Bunny. Forget about it. Then stuff that you're too young to know about, like Animate. There's this little ant who was this little superhero dude with superpowers. Love that dude. On the heroish side, Spider-Man over Superman any day. Spider-Man was just the shit. He was the coolest. That Peter Parker. But definitely the Looney Tunes family. And even later, when Looney Tunes came back with like the Animaniacs and stuff like that, like totally as a grown man sitting there watching all the Looney Tunes stuff. Powerpuff Girls as a grown man. The new Batman when it came out as a grown man.
Solidarity. I feel like because I'm in the animation industry, I would be like, it's research. But, I'm a huge advocate for animation is not just for kids.
No. No, it's not. No. Forget about it. Even SpongeBob, like SpongeBob is just funny. Like screw it just for being for kids. It's just funny.
Yeah.
No, I watched all the Warner Brothers stuff. Like literally till I was about to say till I was an adult. My buddy Jerry, he would come over to my house and we would sit down and eat some snacks and watch Batman or watch Animaniacs or watch Pinky and the Brain. And like I'm already grown, have established credit, and I'm watching them. And then I moved to LA. One day I go to an event and there's a guy, like I had forgotten tip to pay the valet, and there's a guy I know from my voiceover agent. We don't really know each other. We just see each other all the time. And so I was like, I'll pay you back when we're at the agency on Monday. Like, okay. I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I do one of the voices on this cartoon thing. I was like, what voice you do? He goes, I'm Pinky. I'm the Brain from Pinky and the Brain. I was like, and I was like a child. Like anytime I meet somebody like that, I'm like, oh my God. And now like all those people I used to watch are friends of mine. Like the girls who did Powerpuff Girls and like they're all buddies, but like that first realization, oh my God, you're Master Shake on Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Like Dana and I were friends for a year, and we never talked about what we did. We had jobs, right? And then we're down at Comic-Con in San Diego. Yeah, I'm Master Shake. I got to do this. What? Dana, I had no idea. And my buddy who was with me was like, Gary, you are 8 years old right now. I was like, yes, this is Master Shake. Of course I'm 8 years old. I had no pride in that. I don't care. Like when it's somebody like any of those characters that I just love watching them work, I don't care. I have no pride. Yeah, cartoons are not just for kids. Come on. Even the kiddie cartoons are not just for kids. Definitely, they are the older stuff.
They definitely put stuff in there for the adults because like particularly in movies, because they're like, you're about to sit here for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, you better be entertained somewhere. Yeah.
So this is the part where I list out some of your projects because I want the people watching to know that Black people worked on some of our favorite things. And I'm not gonna list everything because you'd been in a lot of stuff, and this. I'm not gonna list the live action stuff, but you've been in some awesome live action things.
And still am to this day.
Right.
I still am to this day.
So I would start with Batman the Brave and the Bold and Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, because when I lived in Korea and worked at an animation studio, I worked on those.
Are you serious right now? Oh
Like,
my gosh.
Batman the Brave and the Bold, that was like, so my first day at work, I worked on like putting, because I'm a 3D artist, so I worked on putting snow on houses for Family Guy for the Angry Elves episode. But the first thing that was on TV was like this spinning thing, alien thing, and for Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Wow.
And like my 2 screenshots that I have of like my name in the credits is for Batman and for Scooby-Doo.
Wow. I wonder if you worked on any of the character stuff that I did. Like I think The Brave and the Bold, is that the one where Diedrich Bader is Batman, right?
I think so.
I think so.
Because so not a lot of people know, like all the Cars and Family Guy and Cleveland Show are 3D, and so I was a 3D. I did backgrounds, vehicles, and props.
Wow, that is so cool. I am an admirer of the animators. I am 100%. Like, kudos to you. Can I tell you a stupid thing about Batman?
Okay.
So I have been doing Batman Brave and the Bold, a lot of episodes of it. I played different characters, and I played this big bad guy on there called Mongol, and I played his sister too, Mongal. I played the 2 characters. And then I get called in. Oh, we're doing this Batman thing. Like, okay, so I start recording Batman, more Batman, and it was like the same episode, and I was like, how long is this freaking episode? What's going on? And then one day I get a call from Andrea Romano, who, in my opinion, is the single best voice director ever. And she goes, oh, Gary, our movie's about to come out this weekend. I was like, what movie? She goes, the Batman movie you've been working on. The whole time I thought I was working on the TV show that I've been doing, and couldn't figure out why they couldn't get this episode right. But it was a whole separate movie. It was
another rewrite.
Exactly. I was like, didn't we do this? Why am I? It was Batman Dark Knight. Is it Dark Knight Returns? Yeah. It was the animated. There's 2 of them. Dark Knight Returns. There's 1 and 2. And in the first one, I play the villain who gets in this huge fight with Batman. And the second one, I play like a newscaster and some other stuff. But I had no idea I was doing a movie, an animated movie. I thought I was just still doing that cartoon. And then when she told me that, I wasn't going to go, I just go, oh, cool. I was wondering when that was going to come out, like having no idea. I had no idea what I had been doing forever.
At least that means you're working. You was working. So
I was working.
To be able to confuse.
Also, I don't pay a lot of attention.
That too. I mean, I was trying to make positive spin.
I appreciate you trying to give me more credit than I have. Like, I was paying attention. Okay, yeah. I'll go in there. I'll read these lines. All right.
So let me quickly run down some highlights that I chose of projects that you worked on. So, Special Agent Oso.
Oh, yeah.
Obligatory mention of Motor City, because I'm from the Motor City.
Rock on.
StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm, Kung Fu Panda, Legends of Awesomeness. Of course, the Boondocks.
The Boondocks. Still one of my favorite things ever.
I'll definitely ask you questions about that. Black Dynamite.
Yes, love it.
The Awesomes, The Lion Guard, Star Wars Resistance, Doc McStuffins. I watched that as a grown person as well.
I know, before you go down the list, let me say this about Doc McStuffins. So I was on Special Agent Oso, and with the guy who created it, his name is Ford Riley. And he basically wanted me to do a James Earl Jones voice for this thing. So that was my job. I played the watch of Agent Oso. You have 5 minutes to get to the blah blah. Right? Yeah. So I do it. One day he brings this lady in, Chris Nee, and goes, hey, Gary, this is my friend Chris. She has a new cartoon that they just bought here called Doc McStuffins. And I said, oh, I want to be in it. And she goes, really, what part do you want to play? And I go, I want to play the little girl. I want to play the Doc McStuffins, because they showed me a picture of it. She's like, yeah, really? She was having none of me. I was like, yeah. I'll be like,
Hey, everybody, I'm a little girl. I'm a doctor. Hey, everybody.
It's like, okay, whatever. And then I thought, well, I just burned that bridge. But then she called me back later and it's like, hey, you want to audition for her dad? Like, oh, yeah, sure thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I thought I had screwed up there. I didn't.
But you didn't. Because personality wins jobs.
Wins. Plus, she had lost a gambling bet to me. So.
So the epic tales of Captain Underpants in Space, Robot Chicken, Bless the Hearts, Invincible, which Invincible, I was like, yes, like adult animation. I feel like I love that we're getting more into the adult, and it doesn't have this certain like style. It's like, oh, try this different style. Mass Effect Legendary Edition, SpongeBob SquarePants, We Baby Bears, Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, You Play Pops.
Yeah, that'll be coming out, I think, in February, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. Excited about that one, man. For real.
I'm excited about that and Dad the Bounty Hunter.
Ooh, is that good?
It's black.
That is a horrible.
No, it's coming out. I don't know yet.
Okay, all right. I was about to say, well, it's black. That sounds like anybody watching a title.
That's why I'm excited about it because it's black.
Good? Well, it's black. Yeah.
And Everett Downing Jr., who was a black animator, now a director, created Dad the Bounty.
Oh, excellent! That's great.
And I interviewed him on my channel.
Excellent.
Bob's Burgers, The Boys Presents Diabolical, The Owl House, Love, Death, and Robots, Solar Opposites, Harley Quinn, American Dad, Central Park, Rick and Morty, Archer, Oddballs, The Cuphead Show.
I'm trying to get out here and do these things. Trying to get out here and prove something to these people. Oddballs is on right now. That just started, by the way. If you have the Netflix, I love doing that cartoon, man. Those people are cool. So give that a watch, and if you have a chance.
So, and this can be outside of animation, but like, what would you say is your biggest breakthrough in your career, or have you had multiple?
I don't know if I've ever had what you would call a breakthrough, to be honest with you. It's just working. I moved out here to LA in 1998. At the first thing I booked was I could have booked this porn job on the phone doing voices, but I turned it down. So the first thing and that was real, by the way. I go to this office for this interview, and my ex-wife was like, well, that's porn, right? I was like, of course it's not porn. They're looking for people who can do voices on a phone. She goes, Gary, that's going to be porn. I was like, it's not porn. And I sit down. And the guy goes, hey, you got a good voice. Like, thanks. I do a lot of voiceover back in Atlanta, where I'm from. Cool. So how do you feel about having graphic sexual conversations with other men? I was like, oh. And in my mind, I was just thinking, crap, she was right. That was number one. 2, how do I get out of here without sounding homophobic, which I am not? So I said, well, how much does it pay? I kind of just thought I can get them on the money. They're never going to give me what I want to make on this. So I'll just get them on the money.
Right.
But my first on-camera job out here was the Amanda Show. And then right after that was Malcolm in the Middle. And I had to stop doing the Amanda Show because I did Malcolm in the Middle. So like I was on Malcolm in the Middle for 7 years. So that could have been a breakthrough, but it wasn't. Then after that, it was just finding another job. I was on Boston Legal as a series regular. And then find another job. The Boondocks. Okay. Did that for many years. They just did some more episodes last year, but they decided they're not going to go forward with the show anymore. So I don't think there's ever been something like a breakthrough. There's stuff that I've had a great time on. Yeah. That sometimes leads to other jobs and sometimes not. But it's always working. It's always hustling. But it's not ever, hey, you can just sit back and relax. Like, of course, I get some offers in now. That's great. But still, I'm auditioning every single week, multiple times a week. So
yeah,
don't ever think you got it made just because you've done work. Still got to get yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. How did you? So you were, acting, and then how did you get into the voice acting?
Oh, by the way, great question, Deborah. Thank you. I'll give you the answer off the air. No, I was doing improv comedy, which I still do, in Atlanta with a group called Laughing Matters, which is still in Atlanta. This was late 80s. I did an improvised. My specialty is music, and this time it was a hip hop song. I did an improvised hip hop song, and one of the guys who runs the group, Tommy Futch, was also a copywriter.
Okay.
So I do that song, and then the next day he calls me and goes, "Hey man, I wrote this rap commercial for WGN in Chicago. Do you want to come to the studio and record it?" I'd never done voiceover in my life, and I was like, "Yeah." So I go to this place called Cat's Paw, and there's a guy who runs a place named Doug. I record this thing, and he keeps walking by the door, like listening in. I'd see him walk by, and after the job was over, he comes to me and goes, "Hey, I will make you the best voiceover demo you will ever have in your life in exchange for work. In exchange for you do me some commercials pro bono. You can come in here as much as you want, and we're going to put together a dynamite voiceover demo for you." And that's what I did. So all my buddy Tommy, who was in that group, who heard me rap, who called me in the very next day, and then that guy hearing my voice saying, "I'm going to put you together this demo that's going to be the best," which it was. It really was. And that was it. It was just like that, just in the right place. Then I moved to LA, had that same voiceover demo, took it to an agent. They were like, "This won't work here." Then I'm on stage again doing improv. A lady sees me, comes up to me, "Do you have a voiceover demo?" "I do, but it won't work in LA. Just give it to me. Give it to me. I'll take it to my people." She took it to ICM. They listened to it and said, "Yeah, we'd like to represent you." Same demo that the other people had said, "This isn't going to work here." Exact same demo. Then those guys are like, yeah, we're going to become your agents. Is that cool? Like, yeah, it's cool. So,
fine by me.
I will accept it. I will accept your offer because I need to work, and I need the monies, and I need to enjoy my life.
Yes. So you're the narrator of Unsung?
I am uncompromised, unrecognized.
I love that show, but I barely watch it because I don't have access to the channel.
I think it's everywhere now. I think you can just Google Unsung and anybody's name that you think, and I think a whole episode will pop up for you. I just recorded a bunch of new episodes. Just did. So yeah, I've been the narrator on that since season 1. They had this singer Al B. Sure. They only did 4 episodes, and then after that, I've been doing the rest of the seasons, and I'm guessing it's in like season 12 or something. So about 12 years is something I've been doing. Oh, it's fantastic.
Because this channel is about documenting people who were here.
Yeah.
And so that's about documenting people who were here. And I'm from Motown, so like a lot of the stories.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Every episode I learned something about every episode. Mostly that producers in the music industry are horrible human beings. Stay away from them. But then every episode it'll be like Cedric the Entertainer. I do his TV show The Neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he is always he's always coming up to me doing my unsung voice for me. And it's always stuff like things couldn't have been greater until they were the worst. They were riding high and then they came crashing down. Tomorrow every episode, like, "No, stay away from those drugs. No, don't drink. No, don't go out driving that night. No, don't get that manager." They were at their peak until they were in their basement. It's like always like, no.
I was rooting for you.
I was rooting.
Have you watched that documentary about the background singers? Like,
no.
There's like a good documentary about like, background singers, like, Motown.
I know the documentary my buddy Jordan Black was talking about it. I think it was Jordan. But I haven't watched it yet. I definitely need to check that out.
Because it's like, what is the formula? Because particularly back in like the Motown era where like you actually had to sing, like be able to sing. And then the fact that sometimes the background singer could or the help, not the help, but like
the help.
Like the people who were in the background,
the help
part of a group,
the help
sung better than the lead singer. We ain't gonna drop no names, but
yeah, that happened a lot, and a lot of times they would step aside and go, no, I got to go do my own thing, but that happened a lot.
Like the fact that Whitney Houston's mom, Cissy Houston, was like the high voice in that Aretha song. Like,
is that crazy?
Who knew that? I mean, I'm sure people did, but
yeah, I know. That's another one of those learning things. Like, wait, really? They did that, or they wrote that, or these people were friends? Like people you would never expect to even know each other,
Because, of the production that I met you on. Before that, I really I understood.
So we're not able to say what that is.
They haven't announced it yet.
Okay.
So I'd be like,
I literally have to go through IMDb to see what has been announced. Like I never know what can I talk about so far?
Right. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Don't say it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understood, like I had this like general understanding that, voice acting can be harder than acting. And I understood it as a skill, but like being able to be in those recording sessions and being able to see people like you, Cree, Phil Lamar, like do your thing in juxtaposition to other people, I'm like, wow, I have a higher respect because I realized through watching these recording sessions that taking direction is a skill. Like knowing your voice and being able to change it is a skill.
Also, may I say that giving direction is a skill. There are people out there like voice directing who are incredible. And then there are people who oh, we could have been done 3 hours ago, or like it's a that is a skill.
Yes, because there's been times where people will say something and like, the voiceover director will be like, try it like that. She'll be like, mimic me. And they'll be like, nah, I'm gonna just say it the same way.
A lot of people, because of some background.
Yeah.
Because some voice directors literally will just want you to mimic them. Then it makes actors feel like, well, why am I here? Why don't you just do it yourself?
But these are like novices.
Yes.
That are like, you're trying to get them there. But also what I realized through this production is that as we get more diverse projects, Black people need to learn how to code switch.
I was telling you before this, like, honestly, like
you can't code switch.
Yeah, I remember Phil Lamar telling Phil. So Phil and I are in an improv comedy group together called The Black Version. Absolutely. TheBlackVersion.com, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to look that up. I remember he was in some movie and I was talking to him about this always working. He's like, man, you got to know how to do white voices too. You got to be able to do all of that stuff, you know? So like you could make a living just doing one thing. There's plenty of people who have. H. John Benjamin from Bob's Burgers, and did I say his name right? Like Bob's Burgers and what's the other one? Oh shoot. Yeah, hold on. I'm going on my IMDb. You just said the name of it just a second ago, and I can't believe Archer. Same voice in Archer. He has one voice. He does one voice. That's it. And he makes fun of himself being able to do that one voice. And he is ridiculously famous for that one voice and successful. So you can do that. But if you really want to be working, you may want to like find out what all is in your toolbox. To which I seriously credit stuff like Bugs Bunny, like watching him as a kid, like seeing him switch the costume, switch the attitude, switch honestly, like that was my first acting lessons, was watching Bugs Bunny. And yeah, you do need to be able to code switch or just dialect, like not all Black people sound the same. My serious dialect is super deep Southern Black dialect, but I can only do that now and then in something like that. That's Uncle Ruckus. Most of Uncle Ruckus is straight up from my roots. But I can't use him everywhere. Lord knows I would love to talk like this all the time.
But yeah, like there's like Black people who grew up in California or grew up with that Midwestern accent, and they can't go sister girl. They can't and it's just like, I mean, I get it, but it's like, man, y'all gotta, like, I feel like sometimes the history of it is like you had to do those voices, but like now we're getting Black stuff, and not to be stereotypical, but you got to talk Black sometimes.
Yeah. I remember one time, and this was the craziest. I was living in LA. I've been hired to do a commercial out of Atlanta. This was early on. This was maybe like 2003 or something. And it was, so I do the commercial on a Friday, and I get a call Monday. It's like, they need you to go back in and re-record. I was like, why? And my agent was like, they won't say. So I get to the studio early. I'm talking to a producer. He's a white dude. And he goes, I will tell you what's going on. The producer in Georgia, she's a Black female, thinks that you are a white guy, that we're trying to pull one over on her. And the commercial did not call for a Southern Black accent. It was just, it wasn't out of Black product, but she had wanted to hire a Black person.
Yeah.
And I was like, she thinks I'm white. Yeah. They were like, do you want to? And I was like, I'm not going to blacken it up for her, but I want to talk to her before I do the job. So I get on the phone with her and I start talking Southern Black. She's like, oh, okay. Then I was like, okay, now listen in as I do the records. And in my mind, and not in my mind just, but in reality, I did not change a single thing from the record I just did. But then I recorded again using the exact same accent. But now she knows, oh, he really is a Black guy. And I finished and she goes, now that's it. That's it right there. That's it. And it was like, okay. And the guy in the studio was looking at me like, what just happened? I was like, she needed to just know I was Black. It's not about the sound.
Right.
You just needed to know that there was a real Black dude on the other end of that thing. Because it did not call for a Black voice. It didn't call for a Southern voice. It just needed a strong, authoritative voice. But yeah, you got to learn all that stuff. I mean, if you really want to be a character actor, like you're talking about the people who grew up in California, you got to learn that stuff. If that's your goal, to be able to, switch from playing somebody from India in this, or maybe a little Russian thing in this, and then the deep South here and a New York guy over here, at least try to learn it.
A superpower of, even when Black people speak properly, I can still tell they're Black because we talk a certain way.
Yeah, almost always. I could trick you. I could trick you over a phone. But yeah, unless you were one of those people who grew up, like probably my son, because he grew up out here, but also he has a really good ear. He's a super shy computer programming guy. But now and then I'll hear him do an accent and go, where did that come from? I heard it in a movie one time. So he actually has the ear, but he
got it through osmosis from you.
He seriously, he was like 4 years old, and I'm driving in the car and he starts doing this beautiful Hindi accent. And I stopped the car. I was like, what is that? What is that? And he goes, that movie we watched that time. And it was some movie we had seen where there's this Indian dude in there. And I was like, you caught that. You can do that. Like after seeing this movie once. So he has that ear, but I would think that if you just heard him over the phone, like his voice is my depth, but I think you probably wouldn't be able to place him as Black just because he grew up out here, is my guess.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
But what is funny is like, you know, with like newscasters and stuff, people could talk in a, you know, code switching voice, but there'll be that one word from where they from where it don't switch. They'd be like proper New Orleans accent, proper Baltimore accent. That one word, it's just like.
And I will tell people all the time, like, look, I'm from the South, so listen, because there will be something that creeps in. Even I did that. It was a Sherlock Holmes thing that Phil Lamar plays Sherlock on, and I did some characters in there. But it's like, you gotta help me listen, guys, because also there's a weird thing about a Southern accent that's very close to an English accent. So it's like, make sure I don't go Southern on you in that.
Right.
Yeah, it's a big part of, honestly, animation. If anybody out there is looking to get into animation and you want to do character work, you got to do more than just what you grew up with. Like Phil Lamar is great at mimicking people. I can't mimic. I can create original voices. There's only a few people that I can sound just like. All my stuff is original voices. But like Phil, he can just mimic. You name somebody that you want Phil Lamar to sound like, and you give him a day, and that next day he's going to come back sounding like that dude. Like, that's not my gift. That's not my power. It's my superpower.
And also on this project that we can't talk about, I've gotten to be in the booth with the virtual booth with Afion Crockett, Godfrey, and Jay Farrell, and like, they probably voice all the characters.
That's the thing. Like, all of those guys, I remember doing Boondocks with Afion, and he was playing 50 Cent. And still, every time he sees me, he does the line, because he was saying, "Get rich or die trying," and he does that line. It's so on and good and lazy sounding. I can't not laugh. And every time we see each other, he does that voice for me. Get rich, like I can't do it.
We hadn't even started to record yet. He did Paul Mooney, Richard Pryor, and Fred Sanford just for fun in like a 30-second.
Yeah, see, that is not my gift. Not even close to. I sit back and wonder at those people, you know. And Phil's like, "Gary, you can do that." I was like, "No, I can't. That's not what I do, Phil. That's not what I do. I make a great living not doing that."
I mean, you are awesome.
I'm amazing, but I am not amazing in that way. I cannot do what those dudes can do. I'm trying to look in their throats as they're talking. Like, how you doing that?
Even like you had to because you got in the booth and was like, okay, what will this character sound like? And the process that you did to do that, it's just like, this is cool.
It's fun. Like it really is fun, and like that, putting those pieces of the puzzle together with the creators or with the voice directors or with whoever else. It's great. I love what I do. I genuinely look forward to doing what I do.
So you're involved in so many mediums. What do you love about animation?
What do I love about it?
Yeah.
It's on the lazy side of me, it's fast. On the fun-loving side of me, it is fun. Like, it is so, I don't know another way to say it. It is so fun to be able to play like that, to be able to get the opportunity to literally just play around in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
That's it. I've always loved watching animation, so I'm getting to do something that I literally grew up on, and then to work on it, to literally have a good time. It's rare that I go into that booth and I come out and my girlfriend doesn't say, "How was it?" and that I don't go, "Best time in the world. Fun. It's great. How else?" That's it. Like, even the stuff like Unsung, that's a lot of work. You know, that's a lot of work to do those kind of shows. But still I learn from it, and and it's still fun. And after that, then there's these relationships that you create that last you forever. Like you and I are working on this together. This won't be the last time we work on something together. That's a guarantee.
Right.
2 years from now, there's going to be, yeah, I guarantee. Yeah, 2 years from now, we're going to be on something else together. So these relationships keep coming back around. I absolutely love it. I love the freedom and the funness of it, for sure.
Yeah. So improv is life for you, which is the opposite of my existence. Like I always have a joke where I tell people like the way I learn and the way I operate is like, okay, you want me to be free? Can you give me a 52-page PDF on how to be free? Like,
wow.
I'm like very step by step because like I'm creative, but I'm also analytical. So like the way I learn is like step by step. Because before animation, I was going to become an electrical engineer. So
so you are the artistic version of my son because he's the engineer, computer programmer.
Yeah. I've even had conversations with people who were like engineers and like you think like an engineer. I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah, that's how I'm wired. Yeah, my son is quick to tell me, yeah, my brain doesn't work that way. Like he's quick to tell me, like, yeah, that's not how you're going to get to me with that. That's not how it works for me.
But I'm working on it. So, like in my season of trying to get more comfortable with like imperfection, impromptu, extemporaneous stuff, as an improv master, what tips do you have to like sit comfortably in spontaneity, discovery, and playing around?
I have no fear of failure. Like honestly, like I remember talking to my son once about like it was school or something, and I said to him, I screw up every single day on something. I'm wrong about something every day, and I just don't care that much. Especially in improv, you have other people there with you. So it's first of all, it's that friendliness of just getting to throw stuff back and forth, and also like in the Black version, knowing nobody's going to let anybody fail anyways. Like you're never going to fail. If I'm having an off night, Phil Lamar is going to feed me something that makes me funny, or Cedric Yarbrough, or Jordan Black, or Danielle Gaither, Naima. Somebody is going to be there with you and for you in that moment. But the second part is I'm never going to worry about whether or not I suck. Ever. I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about what do people think I look like. And I'm never going to ever come up to you after a show, Deborah, and say these words. Hey, what you think of the show? Because I really don't care that much what you thought about it.
Like when I met you, I told you like, oh yeah, I just went to go see the Black version, and you're like, yeah, I don't remember anything that I did.
Yeah. As soon as that show is over, it's like I'm done. Like go home. I had a good time. All right. It used to be before COVID. All right, let's all go down to drinking, get a martini, and then I'll see you guys later. Now it's like, all right, see you guys later. You know? But I wouldn't remember anything until people go, oh, that you guys did that show where you came out and you were pretending you were riding a tricycle. Oh, okay, yeah. Now I remember that. Other than that, I might get home and somebody goes, hey, so what movie did you guys improvise last night? I don't remember. I let it go. It's a in here, play with it, and move on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So like when I did go see the Black version, because I've been in LA I moved here a month before the pandemic, so I essentially didn't really have a chance to go see it. Like, well, I think Cree told me about it, and then I was like, oh, I want to go see this, and so I finally got a chance to go see it. And I was excited because, you're like, throwing out all these suggestions, and like one of my suggestions got picked. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Finally. Got me. 300. Yes. Dude.
They hear me.
Because my voice doesn't carry. Like, I feel like my voice stops right here.
Yeah.
I'm like, 300. Like,
oh, that's great.
Heard me. Yes.
I would tell you, like, we've been doing the Black version. So in the Black version, for your audience, the audience gives us a classic movie, a typically white movie, and then we improvise the Black version of that movie. So we've been doing it for maybe 11 years now, and we just went to DC and performed at the Kennedy Center
Nice.
just a couple of months ago. And talk about different, because here in LA, when we started out, for some reason, there were hardly any Black people in the audience. Now there's a mixture of people in the audience. And in DC, it was like almost all Black. So it was like one of those things where you don't even have to wait a second for people to understand, like in the white mind, they have to translate, oh, that must mean something, but like you're in family. It's like doing the show in front of your family. Like, oh, everybody's already tuned in. They already get what's going on. It was such a different experience.
Yeah.
Doing it at the Kennedy Center with predominantly Black audience.
I like that the center group, like the center theater group, for like the forum, like the Mark Taper forum, they have like they just started doing these like blackout nights.
It's great,
because it is the difference when seeing certain things with like your people. That's why when I went to go see Black Panther, I saw it with the group Color of Change, and it was a bunch of Black people. I like certain stuff. I like that. Like there was a play at the Geffen. It was I think I had seen it before in a different place. It was based in Detroit. The Blues, one of them titles. And to be in the audience where they're saying like the N-word all the time, but it's like a bunch of white people, I'm like, I want to be with Black people where they're saying this.
Can I tell you, I got to tell you, like with the Black version, we perform in San Francisco at the San Francisco Sketch Festival every year, and have for years and years. And there was a couple of younger Black ladies in the audience one time, and after the show, they came up like, "We loved your show. But why is so many white people here?" It's like, number one, thank you. Number two, invite more Black people. You tell them, because we put the advertising out there. You tell them
like
that we're here.
The audience.
Right. Like we did not go, hey, only white people, except for you two, can come in. Now the word is more out, so we get a more mixed audience. But it is that thing of people going, ooh, y'all just said that.
It's a different experience, and it feels it provides that comfort.
Yeah, but for me, it's like I love it when anybody's in the audience, because it's just so fun, and it is a way different experience when it's a predominantly Black audience. Have
you heard like magicians love Black audiences because we react so?
Oh, we're in it. We live in it. A friend of my girlfriend's she's white, but when she comes to a show, she's the Blackest person there, because she's like, "Oh, did you hear what he said? Oh," and she's repeating every line. He's walking across the stage. Like, and I told her after the first, like, you are the Blackest. Like, she's like, all my friends say that in the movies. Like, I can't help it. Like, it is interactive. She is getting her money's worth. I'm never mad at those people. I don't care.
What do you feel is like the importance of the Black version?
I think it's changed throughout its thing, because when we first started, like you just said, now like all these animations that are coming out with Black, and then finally Black Panther.
Yeah.
But when we first started, it's like, number one, it was rare to see, very rare to see that many Black movies or TV shows. Definitely animation, We had Black TV shows a while ago, and then they just kind of went away for some reason. So it was rare to see that representation, and it's a political, socio-political statement of what we're saying up there with, like, look at all of these movies that are considered classic, and you may have put one Black person in each one of them.
Right.
So it has that importance. Then it also has, just as a performer, like when we started that, there were really no just all Black improv troupes that on a regular basis. There were a few around, but we were one of the first ones that was just all Black, except the girl who live directs it, Karen Moriyama. She's Japanese. Yeah. But also in that, just to be on stage with somebody else again, where everything is a shortcut because we're all speaking. Yes. We're not just one big, Black group. Is not like, there's like some of us are from Minnesota and Georgia and Illinois, but we do all have a very common language that you don't have to try to explain to each other while you're on stage doing something. like in my old comedy group in Atlanta, I was the only black guy in that improv comedy group. There was one guy who, he said when he grew up, everybody went, "Are you an Eskimo? What are you?" I think he's Filipino, but nobody knew what a Filipino was back then.
Right.
But with that, like I love playing with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like knowing like they are not used to seeing a black guy doing improv comedy in the first place.
Yeah.
And I never watered stuff down for them. Like if I was going to play this old black farmer, I was an old black farmer. I wasn't playing an old white farmer unless I was playing an old white farmer,
Right.
So like my job always is to, in a fun way, just kind of educate up there too. You know?
So Uncle Ruckus is an amalgamation of guys who were friends with your dad that didn't seem like black people. I've seen a lot of content of you riffing off as Uncle Ruckus, and you've done here. There were the videos for the Uncle Ruckus movie Kickstarter and whatnot. Like with him being such a unique character, what are the underlying things you keep in mind as you're improving as him?
There's something that I didn't realize till the other day on a podcast, and I'm sorry I did not save it for this realization for your podcast, but you asked me too late. You should have asked me earlier. I come from a totally different part of my brain when I'm doing Uncle Ruckus. The second I start talking of him, like him, is a totally different thing. It is. I don't have to think about what would Uncle Ruckus say in this compared to what would Gary say in this. It's a totally different. It's almost like a multiple personality disorder at that point. It seriously is. He has his own.
Has that been from the beginning?
From the beginning. From the beginning.
Beginning at
from
the end.
From the very beginning. From day one, Fox had originally bought the show, and they told Aaron, "No, it's a little too tame. You can go wilder with it." And then Aaron had written a song. He hadn't written the song. He had put the title like, "Okay, Uncle Ruckus sings this song," and the title was "Don't Trust Them New Niggas Over There." We're at Fox. We're about to do a table read for all the important executives, and I was like, "Aaron, do you have lyrics to this song?" He's like, "No, we'll write them later before we record, or if you want to just say something, throw something in there, you can." So I improvise this song, "Don't Trust Them New Niggas Over There," at the table read at Fox. Just make it up. Come to record the next week, they've literally taken the lyrics and put them down, and they've hired a musician now to orchestrate. They're like, "No, just sing, do the thing that you did there. And if you want to add more verses, you can do that too." So they had already written all the lyrics down. So from the beginning, when I would start talking as Ruckus, like everything about that is like straight up Ruckus. Like he has probably zero of my beliefs in life.
Right. That's what I was wondering, because it's like to be such a proud black man and to play this character like.
Yeah. He is not me.
Right.
he is so far from me.
So I'm sure that like there are people that hate Uncle Ruckus. What do you think the importance of his character though?
I think two things. I think one of it is kind of a social gadfly, as they say, like kind of an irritant to make people pay attention to shit. Two is there is the reality of that type of personality out there, and like the boys on the show, Riley and Huey, played by the delightful Regina King. They really, and Granddad, they showed you, they let us see that character and showed you how you deal with an idiot as well. He is a shit stirrer when it comes to stuff like that, and it does make you look at yourself and go, "Okay, wait a minute, are we like there are some black people who have built-in kind of distrust of other black people." He takes everything to the nth degree. Like the white man can always do. He can do everything better. I mean, you wouldn't even have the English language if it wasn't for the white man. You'd still be out there grunting like a monkey if it wasn't for the white man. You'd be speaking in grunts and gurgles all the time if it wasn't for the white man. Everything for him is just to the nth degree of any little self-hating part of us that we might have. And Aaron Magruder kicked it up to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And for every character in that show, he let us improvise as much as we want. Day one of recording was me and John Witherspoon in the booth playing the checker. There's an episode where we're playing checkers, the first episode, I think it was. And he was like, okay, we got everything was written. You guys want just make some shit up. And so that was always it. You always got to improvise on that show. And Aaron loves it. He loves that stuff. He was never like, no, you stick to the page. Like, never. Because he knew, especially as it went on, like, oh, you guys got the characters. Like, I've written brilliant stuff. Now you go ahead and do whatever else you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you founded the LA Comedy Shorts Film Festival. What made you want to do that?
What happened? Oh, when I was married, my wife was white. And when I first met her mother, she goes, oh, let me tell you about my family. Like, she was like super liberal. Her dad was too, was a college professor, like both super liberal. Nothing racist about these people at all. Just cool people. So let me tell you about my family. My mother's last name is Wilson. I was like, oh, my grandmother's last name is Wilson. Okay. They come from this little town, like right near the Georgia, Alabama. It's like, oh, my folks are from down there. Wait a minute. This is day one of meeting the new almost mother-in-law. What if your family owned my family? Right? So I had that idea forever. And then one day I called my writing partner. He's like, I have an idea for a movie called I Own You. It's a black guy who's married to a white girl. And finds out she used to own his family. We write this little short. It goes out to the festivals and it gets in the festivals and it's playing all over. And as we were touring around, we were like, why isn't there just a festival for short comedies? There's not a single one. Yeah. There was not one festival that the entire film festival was just short comedy movies. So we were like, let's do it. And it was all because of our frustration of like, we'd be playing in festivals in the shorts block and it would be like murder, death, abortion. Now here's the comedy. Right. We're like, just make them all comedies. Yeah. So Jeannie and I, then her husband Ryan, and then we brought in another partner after that. We started it because there was nothing else out there like it. And then we gave money as prizes, but more importantly, we introduced people to the industry. Like a prize might be getting an in-office meeting with an agent or a manager or a writing agent, So we were like, what would we want if nobody knew who we were? Yeah. How could we best serve? And that's what we did. We created a community that we would want to go to. It was a camp. We still work with people from that film festival. And we hadn't done it in years and years. We still work with people from there, filmmakers and writers and directors and producers.
Nice. So, and how did you and your friend Elliot Blake come up with the concept of Daydrinking with Gary and Elliot?
That was Elliot
podcast.
Elliot Blake, he was a home bartender. Like he had taught himself how to make all these drinks, and he even had a book called The Home Bar Guy's Guide to Drinks or something like that. Yeah. And he just called me one day. He's like, we need to do something together. I was like, yeah, we do. He goes, I have this thing I do where I know how to make cocktails. Like, why don't we do a cocktails and conversation thing? I was like, I'll call all my buddies. Yeah. So that's what I would do. I call my buddies. They come to my house. We make cocktails. He created cocktails specifically. You find out like what is their booze of choice. Some of them were non-alcoholic. And he's like, all right, I'll have a cocktail for them. Like he would make it on air, and we'd all sip these cocktails that were specially made for them, and just shoot the crap about. It was almost all actors or comedians. We had a couple of scientists on there. Nice. Yeah, but we just shoot the crap about whatever.
I'm actually attempting to start another YouTube channel. And I interviewed a black astrophysicist yesterday.
A blastophysicist. Do you know and I don't know this guy's color, who I love him. His name is Bobak Ferdosi. He was called the Mohawk guy at NASA. He was the one who called the touchdown of the Mars rover. But he's like brown skin. I literally don't know his nationality. He's not a white dude. That's all I know. Brown skin, and he has this crazy ass young Mohawk dude. So he was on that podcast. And he became friends of ours, and he spoke at my son's college. And this is before my son was totally into science and stuff.
Yeah.
And invited him over to NASA to do all of this stuff. So if you ever get a chance to talk to that guy, you should. He's just a good human being. Bobak, Bobak.
Got it. So you're really into birds. What's your favorite bird?
My favorite bird right now.
Right.
A man's bird choices changes. I usually have my bird book in here. Say that again.
I said it changes like your love language.
It really does. I would have to say, and I got to get a pocket full of peanuts. I gotta say, as simple as it sounds, still a raven is probably my favorite right now. They're so smart that they're considered the single smartest bird, followed secondly by crows. They may just be my all-time favorite. But then, like, I have a fountain out in front of my house, and all the birds come up. There's these little birds called the lesser goldfinches. They're these beautiful little gold birds. There's one I've only seen which is a western tanager, which it looks like something that you would have in a cage at your house. It's like this red head and beautiful yellow body. And so that, and then the peregrine falcon is usually my favorite bird just because it's so stupid fast. It dives at about 180 to 200 miles per hour, just demolishing. I saw a video of a bird trying to get at some peregrine falcon eggs, and then the mom flies out like, "Hey, I'm out of here. You can eat my babies." But what she really does is flies up in the air for who knows how far, tucks her wings in and dives down and hits this other bird and just literally demolishes it, just splits it apart, like, to save her kids. But like something with that kind of speed and smarts is amazing to me. I love birds. I love watching them. I'm not going to let you catch me like walking around town with binoculars. The day I realized I had a problem, I was walking with some friends of mine, and I saw these two super nerds bird watching. It was a husband and wife. She later became pregnant. I saw them later. Husband and wife wearing tan bird watching outfits with little bird watching binoculars, and they were walking down by the LA River. And I was like, "What are you guys looking at?" And they were like, "There's some phoebes over there." I was like, "Oh, black phoebes. Oh, cool." I was like, "Oh, I saw a kingfisher down here the other day and a black crowned night heron." And then I leave them, and then I look at my friends and I realize, oh my God, because I didn't even know I had become that at that time. I was like, "Holy crap, I'm a bird nerd." I'm now literally officially a bird nerd. So
the bird nerd, the bird's the word.
Yeah. So I'm going to go raven and still peregrine falcon. I just love, but ravens are dope. And speaking of, that's it. There's a book called The Peregrine right here in my very own home. That shows you I'm not lying about these birds. Yeah.
Like, I moved to LA from New Orleans, and for some reason, I don't know. Sometimes I just saw pigeons in New Orleans. But being from Michigan, I remember making the realization, like, man, you don't really be seeing just birds. Like, I remember growing up in Michigan and seeing like robins and cardinals and just like pretty birds, and
It depends on where you are. I mean, if you come to my front yard, you're gonna see birds.
But in New Orleans, I was like, I'll just be seeing pigeons.
Yeah. You have to almost get out in the woods down there, or else it's pigeons. And the only place I saw pigeons where I grew up in Fayetteville is if you went to the square or on Church Street where Black people lived. And when I was younger, it was a big thing for all the Black kids to have homing pigeons. So they would go to this church and get little pigeons and then train them and have homing pigeons. And I always wanted one when I was little, but Mama wouldn't let me have one. Then one day she was hanging up the clothes and there was a little pigeon there. And I was like, Mama, can I have it? She's like, okay. And then she trapped it. And she said, I just need to tie his wings and then your daddy can clip him when he gets home so he can't fly till he learns, like, this is his house, and he'll fly away and come home. So she tied his wings and she set him down on the ground and he just undid his wings and just flew off. And it's like, oh, man, that was my only chance of having a pigeon.
Dang.
So I guess I've been into that. I just realized that forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you lost around 170 pounds. What was that journey for you? And like, what was the catalyst of it? And what was the importance?
Yeah, probably about 180 pounds altogether, probably. It was just out of weirdness. My ex, they thought she had celiac disease. So she couldn't eat wheat. So in solidarity, I was like, oh, I'll go off the wheat with you. So I went off the wheat, and then before I even lost weight, it was like suddenly, like I just had a bunch of energy in the middle of the day where usually I felt like, oh, I need to take a nap.
Yeah. I
just had a bunch of energy. Like, this is crazy. And then the weight started coming off. And then I decided I'm just going to take all the carbs out. Like, there's carbs in fruit and stuff, but all the white carbs. And so I created my own eating thing. This was before keto was even big. And I called it White is Evil. So I took out bread, rice, pasta, even like I don't do really oatmeal, or I do very few grains. So I took all the white stuff out, white potatoes, bread, rice, pasta. And then the weight just started coming off. It just, before I even started exercising, I had already lost like 140 pounds just by not eating carbs. And I was never an overeater ever in my whole life. I've never been an overeater ever. I was eating the same amount of stuff I do now, but I was just eating the wrong stuff for my body. Like, some people you can probably handle carbs. You got that carb looking face that you can handle them. You got a carb handling face. My face.
I love carbs, but people always think that, like, so I lived in New Orleans and I stayed this size. Definitely did that on purpose because, like, I've been skinny all my life. And I remember I worked in the Central Business District in New Orleans, and we would go to lunch, and this was like 25, let's say 26. And, you know, we're going to lunch and eating New Orleans food. And then I remember one day I was like trying on these shorts and they like were not going up. And I'm like, because this was never my life. Clothes were always too big for me. They were never too small. And so I was like, duly noted. So I started bringing my lunch. So I was like, you know, because my dad is big. Like he at some point he lost over 200 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, I'm the opposite of what my father is. My mom is like hips and butt. My family, like my aunts, like have weight on them. So I know the potential. So I don't ever want to. I've always been like,
genetically, you are wired to be. And
I don't want to test it out. So as soon as that happened, I was like, I got you. I'm not. But, you know, it was hard because my coworkers would be bringing, like, sometimes I'll bring a sandwich and then they brought some like jambalaya, and I'm like, today I'm just getting like. Yeah.
See, you and I genetically, carbs are not our friend. There's plenty of people who can handle it, not me and you. And once I cut it out, like, that was it. Like, if somebody had told me 20 years ago, you know, you're heavy because just because of carbs, I never would have believed them. I never would have ever. But talking about making me mad, like cutting them out, it made me want to go hit somebody's kid. I used to say carbs are the things that keep us from beating our children, because, like, big happy fat folks aren't going around whooping kids for no reason. But you cut out a carb and it will make you mad at every child.
like my father did not whoop us because we were so small and he was so big.
Yeah, there's plenty of reasons that you wouldn't. And you're not that angry. You're like, fool. I ain't got time to whoop you. I'm fool. My son used to go, Dad, it's not fair. Like, I remember one time he's like, it's not fair. I was like, what's not fair? He's like, you being that size, you don't eat that much. It's not fair. He was like 6 or something. I was like, it's metabolism. And it is metabolism too. Like, can't metabolize those carbs.
I used to have a high metabolism, but not anymore.
Yeah.
So what is a story that you've never got to talk about in interviews? Something like nobody would think to ask, or it's just an interesting story?
I have told this a couple of times, but only as kind of a lesson to people who are interested in the business. So I will say that because I do feel that this one is important. I was in college, and it's very quick. I was in college. A guy in Clayton County, Georgia, a guy came down from the big city of Atlanta to teach a one-day improv comedy workshop. After the one-day workshop, he pulls me aside and he says, you should not do improv. It's not for you. It's like, oh, all right. I didn't listen to him. Like, anytime anybody tells you, if you have a desire to do something, like, make sure you don't listen to those idiots. Like, I don't know what was going on in that dude's life, but I just remember being told, like, the thing that I do now that brings me nothing but joy. Somebody once pulled me aside privately and told me not to do it. So I was like, whatever, dude.
That's what I think about, like, social media, of like everybody has a mic, and so everybody feels like they have to say something. Like, he didn't have to say that to you.
No, you didn't. Yeah. I remember there was a podcast I used to do with Jordan Black in it, and I remember somebody saying to him, he played this asshole character, and somebody said, it was exactly what you just said. Somebody said to him, why are you still talking? And he goes, because there's a mic in front of my face. Like, no, but you don't have to. You can let that mic just sit there and everything.
I wish people on social media realized they could shut up. Like,
you can really shut up. I mean, I've had one time I was on one of the sketches I did on Key and Peele, which is probably still one of my favorite sketches I did on there. It was called The Gay Wedding. If you've never gotten a chance to see it.
Oh my God.
See it.
That was such a great sketch.
It's a great sketch. And then a guy on Tesla, you call it Twitter, I call it Tesla. A guy gets on Twitter and says, not cool, man. This is 2000, whatever year it was. Not cool y'all did that. Like, thinking that we were coming down on gay people.
Like commentary.
But so he starts bad mouthing me, and then he calls me like a C-list actor or something. And I just go, like, first of all, unless you really, really know me, you will never insult me. I don't care who you are. Unless I'm sleeping with you or I came out of your vagina, and meaning you're my mother, you're not going to insult me. You can say whatever you want. I'm not going to be hurt unless we have some super close emotional. So he's coming down on the show for doing this sketch, and he says, I'm a C-list actor. And I was go, and then I answer him back. And I was like, oh, maybe you didn't understand, man. We were in support of the gay marriage. And also, by the way, I'm not a C-list actor. I'm way lower than that. I'm like an L-list actor. And then he realized, oh, there's a human being on the other side that I just said something to. And then he was immediately, hey, man, no, I got what y'all were doing. That was brilliant, man. Like, total change. And I love your work. I've seen you on this and this and this and that. It's like, what
people
did you
be doing that? Like, it's a like, people will say the negative, and then once the person responds, then they flip it and they're all positive. That happens a lot.
Yeah. But I don't know if I think a lot of times they just don't think anybody's listening.
Right.
And honestly, like, did I care what he was saying? No, but I thought, and what I wasn't going to do is answer him in anger, because look, if you don't want to watch the sketch, don't watch the sketch. If you think I'm a shitty actor, you're not the only one. You don't have to watch anything I'm in, but I'm not going to be mad at you about it. And definitely, if your intention was to upset me, that's never going to work. I I'm not gonna be mad at you.
I kind of hate when people don't see the brilliance of what is happening. Like that the sketch they did on like mispronouncing the white people names. I'm like, this is brilliant. Aaron.
Mm-hmm. And now it did ruin it for every dude named Aaron though. Like, cause now.
Balake.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, their stuff was so fantastic, and they were in that group that you came to see, the Black version. They were in it at the beginning.
I actually got to see Keegan Michael Key when he came to support Wendell Pierce in a play in New Orleans.
Cool.
And I'm like, Michigan.
Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah,
I love those dudes.
And
brilliant. Brilliantly funny. Jordan Peele is a ridiculous. I remember that in that one sketch where they're doing the football draft. I don't know if you know that sketch.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Football players come up with these stupid names like Tonkatoy McGee, the University of Michigan, whatever. And somebody was asking Keegan, so did you guys improvise those? It's like Jordan Peele wrote every single one of those stupid names. Nothing was improvised about that. It was Jordan Peele's brilliance of stupidity. Right?
And the sketch of like when they talking about their wives, like
that look around. Yeah. I said, yeah, brilliant. So yeah, they started out in the Black version with us, and then their TV show got picked up, and then
nice.
They were off. Yeah.
So like, what do you hope Black creatives are doing in this current landscape with access to cameras on their phones and access to technology that you wish you could have done when you were younger and that you're doing like with your TikTok videos?
It's the same. It's the literal same reason that we created that film festival to go. First of all, not everybody should be creatives. Okay, that's just a fact. Not everybody who owns a gun, who can own a gun, should own a gun. Not everybody who owns a camera should. but the opportunity to make something, to get your voice out there or opinion or just have fun with something is seriously unlimited to most people right now. Seriously unlimited. And go do it. Whatever the voice is, like, everybody's not going to agree with you. Everybody's not going to think it's good. That none of that matters. Just go do it. Like, I always feel like I need to create something all the time. I need to do something all the time. So if you're one of those people, you now have that opportunity. I wouldn't say you have I wouldn't say you have to do it, America needs this from you, but you have that opportunity that none of us ever had. Like, I didn't. There was no way. Like, it's like you said, as simple as Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
You have that opportunity to get your voice out there. And if you don't, it's literally because you don't want to or you're afraid to. It's not because of possibilities. You don't have anybody to blame if you don't even try to do it. You can create some simple stuff that will also inspire other people if you're into that. I remember the people that I watched growing up, like just on stage in Atlanta, going, "Oh my God, look at that guy! He's in a scene. They're doing a whole scene in a theater and sitting by a campfire, and he does one of these and slaps a mosquito as it's going by." And it took me a minute to go, "There's no fucking mosquitoes in here. That dude is acting like he is." Like, and it was such little minute things that as a young actor, I took from him. Like, I make sure now, like I put stuff in my performances. It's like, because I watched him create a whole character. So whenever I do something, I want it to be the whole deal. And I was inspired by that guy. That little mosquito slap, I'm sure I've never told him to this day. His name is Clark Taylor. I've never told him to this day, like, that defined part of how I perform now. Watching you do that, what may have been an insignificant thing for everybody else, but to me it was like, oh my God, there's a whole different person up there who just slapped this mosquito just in some part of the scene that had nothing to do with a mosquito, but it created an entire environment. You never know how, if you care, you never know how you're going to inspire somebody or not.
It was the catalyst for the Big Bang in your brain.
Like, oh my, look what's possible. He didn't even have a line right there. Look at that.
Yeah. So my last question, if someone was producing a documentary about you, what things would you want them to highlight outside of your work in, film and animation? And improv.
I mean, the things that are important to me that still remain important is friends and family. Somebody needs to highlight like what family means to me, what friends mean to me, and also I am one of those. We live on a world that's this big, depending on how far off we are. And I am a Rodney King in the sense of we gotta get along with each other. Like I ain't got time. I find one person in this world to hate, and then everybody else I got love for. I've chosen Donald Trump. I hate him. That is official. I officially hate the same way he officially announced. I am officially announcing today I hate that motherfucker. That said, I got nothing but love for everybody else. I try
to get along except Donald Trump.
Yeah, except Donald Trump. Donald Trump excluded. Paid for by Gary Anthony Williams. So I am one of those believes like I live in a very Hasidic Jewish area. I will make those motherfuckers wave at me. Like I will since I moved into this neighborhood. Yes, we're gonna speak, and yes, I will use some Yiddish words. We ain't got nothing but love for each other because if a quake goes down, you're gonna need me and I'm gonna need you.
Yeah.
The Latinos, same. Blacks, same. White, same. We're not all the same people, but we definitely have something to offer each other. I am a big believer in that. The world is my family. Yes, there are problems, and my God, I know there's racism. My daddy had a fucked up eye for all of his life because of racism. I'm from the South. I saw the Klan all the time. Like seeing the Klan was nothing for me. That was a Sunday when you were driving up through Riverdale, Georgia. Like they were out there handing out brochures. I am not a fool to think there's not racism in this world, but I'm also not a fool enough to go, we should not be reaching out to each other. We should.
So thank you for allowing me to highlight you on my platform. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for not fighting. I woke up this morning expecting, this damn Deborah. She's going to be fisticuffs and dukes up, playing that guitar too loud when she don't want to hear what I got to say.
So,
say what now?
It was a last minute decision.
Yeah, to not go fisticuffs and play the guitar too loud. Thank you for making.
It was the energy.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. The energy. No, seriously, thank you for. Look, I know you have lots of voiceover talent to spend a Sunday with. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be with a young Gary Anthony Williams.
Young salt and pepper.
I can't wait till we can say what we're working on together.
Yeah, one day.
Someday. Thank you, seriously.
No problem. So to everyone out there, I want you to like So I Know It's Real, comment and tell me how you feel, subscribe to Citadel, and sign up for post notifications to show your zeal. And I'll see you in the next video.
Bye, peoples.